Hello guys, I'd like to make a video series about the card game Dominion. This is especially for beginners to show them some basic strategies. And this first video is a simple video for the overview and explain the rules. I use online implementation. Links I will show in the comments. Dominion is one of the most innovative games of the last years, and I like to explain now how the game works. First, a few facts. It's a game for 2 to 4 players, for age 8 or above. It's easy to learn. And last, depending on the numbers of players playing, 30 up to max 60 minutes, and online much quicker. Here on the left is the supply, and I like to show you a card. Here's silver, a yellow card. You see the cost of the card, it costs 3 coins. And in the middle there's an effect, it produces 2 coins. And below there's the card type, it's the treasure card. Treasure cards are always yellow like this silver. You may ask now why is silver more expensive than the amount of money it produces, but I will explain that later. And there's copper, it produces 1 coin. And costs nothing. And there's gold. It produces 3 coins and costs 6 coins. Beside of the yellow treasure cards here, there are green victory cards. Like in any other game, the goal of Dominion is to have the most points in the end. There are 3 victory cards too. An estate for 1 victory point and costs 2 coins. A duchy for 3 victory points and costs 5 coins, and a province for 6 victory points and 8 coins. How does Dominion work? Dominion is a so-called deck building game. At the beginning, every player has 10 cards, 7 coppers, and 3 estates. And the goal is now to buy cards that improve your own deck. How does this work? Every player starts the game shuffling your own deck. These represent the draw pile. Then every player draws 5 cards. You see that here now. I have 3 coppers and 2 estates in my hand. Here's the draw pile. There are the remaining 5 cards. And there's the discard pile with no cards. Then the game can begin. One player starts, and the turn has 3 phases. It starts with A, action phase, but I will explain it later. Then comes B, like buy phase. The player lays down the treasure cards and buys at most 1 card for the amount of money of these cards. Here it is 3 coins when I play all these 3 coppers. I can buy now 1 card that costs at most 3 coins. I buy a silver that costs exactly 3 coins. I put this card on my discard pile. Then the phase C, cleanup phase, can start. All cards that I've played, my 3 coppers, and all remaining cards in my hand have to be put on the discard pile. And then I draw 5 new cards, my remaining 4 coppers and my remaining estate. Then clockwise every other player takes his turn and the next turn can start. I play alone, so my next turn starts immediately. I play all my 4 coppers and can buy for at most 4 and another card, so I can buy silver here. I can always spend less if I want. Normally I have to draw 5 new cards for my draw pile, but the draw pile is empty. That's the really interesting part. My complete discard pile gets shuffled and builds my new draw pile. Now you see that money never gets really spent. It's more like an investment. You can play it over and over again. That's why silver costs more than it produces, similar to gold. So my discard pile gets shuffled, which is the new draw pile. And then I can draw 5 cards. That's why I have the recently bought silver in my hand. Like you see, victory cards don't give you any benefit. You can't play them. That's the reason you should buy victory cards at the end of the game. But still, the goal of the game is to have the most points in the end. So far, so good. The mechanic is really interesting, but the possibilities are a little bit restricted to buy only treasure and victory cards. But as you can see, there are more cards here in the supply. In the base game of Dominion, there are 25 so-called kingdom cards. You can play the game with 10 randomly chosen kingdom cards. These action cards give you the benefit to get 2 points and money faster. These are ordered mostly by cost. These cost 2, these 3, these 4, these 5 coins. Now let's say we buy for 4 coins a smithy. Now we draw 5 new cards, and for 5 coins we can buy a market, for example. I have drawn the last 2 cards of my draw pile, then I reshuffled and draw 3 additional cards. Now I have the recently bought market in my hand. Now I can explain the action phase that I skipped earlier. In the action phase, I can play one of my action cards that I have in my hand and execute what is written on the card. Let's see what market has written on it. It says +1 card, +1 action, +1 buy, +1 coin. Let's play the card. The market says +1 card, so when I play the card, you can simply draw a card from the draw pile. I've just drawn a copper. Then it says +1 action. What does this mean? You see that my action storage is at 1 action. That means that I am allowed to play an additional action card if I would have one in my hand. So the marked costs 1 action to play, but gives 1 action so you can play a smithy if I would have one in hand. Additionally, it gives me additional buy. This means in addition to the buy I always have in the buy phase, I can spend additional buy. So I can basically buy 2 cards. And it gives me an additional coin. You see I have 6 coins in my hand, you can see this on the button. But I already have a so-called virtual coin from the market. So when I go to the buy phase, I have 7 coins in total. These 7 coins I can split up into 2 buys, as I explained earlier. So for example, I can buy gold for 6 coins and another card for 1 coin, but there isn't any card for 1 coin. So for example, for 2 coins a seller and for 5 coins a mine. Let's see what the smithy does. The smithy is maybe one of the easiest cards. It simply says +3 cards. So I play it and draw 3 cards and draw the 3 estates that were on top on my draw pile. The draw pile is now empty and I play all 5 coins and buy, for example, another market. Now I have the case where I have a smithy in hand with no additional action and also the mine. I won't explain the effect of the mine, but it doesn't give me another action. So I have to choose now which action I like to play now. Here's another situation that may occur in any game. For example, I have a seller in hand. It says +1 action, so I can play another action after I've played the seller. And then discard any number of cards into the discard pile, and then +1 card per card discarded. That is very useful if I have many victory cards, for example, in my hand, because I can't play them. And maybe I draw treasure cards. So I try that now. I discard all my coppers and draw a cellar, a state, and a smithy. So for example, I can play another seller, discard an estate, and draw gold. Very nice. The smoothie I've drawn you already know, so let's see what the workshop does. It simply says gain a card costing up to 4 coins. Gaining is not like buying. When I gain, I can do that right now in my action phase, but I have still one buy that I can spend in my buy phase. So I play the workshop and gain, for example, a remodel. I have no action left, so I can play the gold now and buy, for example, a silver. Now you keep going until either the province cards were bought and the pile is depleted, or any other piles were depleted. Here in blue you see in brackets the amount of cards that are still in the pile. If the pile has action cards, there are 10 cards. If it has victory cards and you're playing a 2-player game, there are 8 cards. If you play a 3 or 4-player game, there are 12 cards. The treasure piles are big, so they are rarely depleted. The player who has now the most points wins. Let's have a look now at some other cards. For example, here the militia. You can read at the bottom, action attack. When you play the card, you get 2 virtual coins, and each other player discards down to 3 cards in his hand. So you can see the action cards give you more interaction between the players, and you have to react to the strategy of other players, which makes the game very interesting. For now, you've only seen cards that let you gain or buy more cards, but there are also cards that let you trash cards that you don't need anymore in your deck. For example, there's the Chapel that simply says trash up to 4 cards from your hand. So additionally to the draw pile and the discard pile, there's a trash pile that is for all players. All trash cards were removed from the deck from that player and were put on that trash pile. So you don't discard the card and draw it over and over again. It gets removed forever from your deck. There is a similar card called Remodel. It says trash a card from your hand. Gain a card costing up to 2 coins more than the trashed card. So you can trash a copper and gain a estate, or you can trash a estate and gain a card that costs 4 or less. So by playing only one card, you can trash a card, gain another card, and later in the buy phase you can buy another card. Basically, you trade in one card for a better card. Then there is the mode. The mode is blue, but still an action card. But it also says reaction. That's why it's blue. It has an action part. It simply says plus 2 cards. So you draw 2 cards like the smithy draws 3 cards. And it has an reaction part. When another player plays an attack card, you may reveal this from your hand. So you reveal this, show it to the other players. And if you do, you are unaffected by that attack. Very nice. So for example, someone plays a militia. You simply reveal or show that mode from your hand and you don't have to discard. And there's another attack card, for example. That's the witch. You draw also 2 cards and each other player gains a curse card. So far we've ignored the curse card. There's a curse pile here. And curses are violet, have an own card type named curse, and give you -1 victory point. What's more important and worse, like victory cards, they clog up your deck, and then it's difficult to get to a specific amount of money to buy, for example, a province. And there's another special card named Gardens. It's a victory card, like you can see, it's a green card. So if it's one of the 10 chosen kingdom cards, there are 4 victory cards you can buy. And it has a variable victory point value. It's worth 1 victory point for every 10 cards in your deck rounded down. So if you have 38 cards in your deck, it's worth 3 victory points. Yeah, new strategies can be developed if Gardens is one of your kingdom cards. Let's summarize. What's so special about Dominion? First is the great deck building mechanic. Every game is different, although it starts every time with 10 kingdom cards. In comparison to trading card games where you build your deck before playing, this process of deck building is in the game. Secondly, every player has the same prerequisites. Not the one who invested more money in his deck has the better deck. No, the player who has built the better deck from these 10 cards, that player wins. So it can be that all players have the same strategy and it's a race for the same cards before all cards are gone. And it can also be the case that different strategies are tried and the better strategy wins in the end. But what's really unique is how the game makes you addicted so fast. No game is like every other game. The game gets never boring. It's really depending on the 10 kingdom cards. The game is different every time, and that's what's really fascinating. You can randomly choose the 10 kingdom cards, you can build a set or whatever you like. And these 10 kingdom cards will offer you a new, unique experience every time you play the game. So you've watched the first part, know the rules, have an overview of the cards. The next part will be the first part where you get some tips and I will introduce some basic strategies. Until next time, bye.